Getting ready to go here. Now that I finally found the link. That was far more difficult to find than it should have been. But we're getting this all set and ready here. So, without further ado, here we go. Alright. think I've got this managed, but there we go. Now we're getting some updating. Okay, well, hello, and welcome to this crazy madness. This is my test run here, mostly just so I can figure out down the road my $10 Patreon tier. I'm already off to a great start. $10 Patreon tier for classes down the road. But for today, we're just doing an anybody and everybody can jump in, and I'm working on this tattoo commission that I've finally gotten finalized and ready to roll out. So that's been a bit of today, minus trying to get all of this set up. So anyway, if you have any questions, I do have chat visible, so please pop that up and let me know if you are confused on anything that I'm doing here. But at the moment, I think I'm just talking to myself, so I'm gonna get to work here and hit the right button in the right screen, which is always helpful, especially doing swirlies, and my computer has been acting very funny today. And it's okay right now because I'm not rotated, but as soon as I rotate, I start getting weird issues. So, also let me know how volumes are, if music is too loud, if mic is too soft. I'm wearing noise cancelling headphones, so I am intentionally talking much softer than I usually would to make sure that I'm not yelling at the moment. Or I might be yelling and I just can't tell because noise cancelling headphones. So, let's see here. Gonna do a little more whirly. I am using a plugin right now called Lazy Nezumi, which I actually purchased when I switched from my Mac to Windows to smooth out the lines because there was this terrible jittering that was going on. But oh, good, thanks, Grant. I'm not yelling. That's always a plus. It's so hard to tell when you're wearing noise-canceling headphones, right? Like, you can't tell if everything has just gone away. I know the first time I tried them out, my husband and I were standing in the Bose store, and I put them on just to see if I could handle it, because I have ear problems, and I know I was yelling, trying to talk to him. So, I've been very mindful of that since then. But yeah, anyway, this is a plugin for Photoshop called Lazy Nezumi. It has a whole bunch of really other cool tools, but I am using a piece right now called wow, this is great. Pulled string, and I can switch between that and smoothing, so I can come back in. I'm gonna see if this will cooperate. Anytime I've been rotating the canvas today, it's been acting jumpy. So, and I don't know why, because this is not a large file yet being the keyword. I usually run in files that are much bigger than this one, but since this is a tattoo, what did I just hit? That's not what I want. Since this is a tattoo design, I'm not running it quite as large as I usually do, which is also messing with my head because I keep thinking that I'm working in a much larger brush than I actually am. And I am just making a mess of this right now. Okay. The pulled string line gives you really nice smooth lines, but if you deviate at all, it makes things a little funky. And so I'm just going to erase this whole thing and redo that whole line. So, alright. Shrink that back down so I don't mess myself up later. Back to pulled string. Alright. Being able to rotate the canvas is really nice because then I'm not like folding myself into weird contortions trying to do some of these lines, and I can't get this to line up. Come on, line up. There we go. Alright, That's a little better. Where am I at? Oh, filigree's about done. Okay, cool. You know, I've been using Photoshop for 20 years. Never taken an actual class on it, but I've kind of stumbled my way through figuring things out. And was making a joke with, actually, Arizona last week. What? Okay, what are you doing? Thank you. Made a joke with her last week. It's like, yeah, I'm still learning things. Like, I learned about the rotating canvas just a couple years ago, which makes my life so much easier when I'm trying to get those crazy lines. But I just learned about this picture-in-picture thing where I could have the same document open twice, so I can zoom way in, work in close on these things, and then still have the full size visible, so I'm not zooming in and out all the time. So let's do a little bit of cleanup here. Picture quality is okay. I know the webcam is a little wonky because I've got funky lighting here, but hopefully that's not too bad. I'm assuming you can hear the music too. I think I have that feeding in. I'm not really sure. Because that's the kind of day it's been, trying to get this thing figured out. Because apparently YouTube does not support normal OSB, which is what I'd been using for Twitch and other recording for the last several years. But they do this one, which is a variation of OSB, but it still is a whole other situation that I have to try to learn in a very short amount of time. Alright. Yay, it's not being weird and doing weird things. It's being really, really jumpy earlier, and that was so frustrating. Okay, come on, Photoshop. Thank you. That's lag input, because I've got too much going on my computer right now. Which in theory it should be able to handle, but this is, again, large Photoshop files plus Spotify plus streaming. Which, surprisingly, I'm only using 12% of my CPU, but Photoshop is probably using way more than that. So I'm just going to do some detailing out here. I don't like that line, but I don't want to redo the whole thing. Let's see if I can clean this up. With the pulled string. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. That's not quite there. Okay, try that again. Welcome to my life of doing line art because I don't know how to use the pen tool. Not for lack of trying. Not for lack of looking up every YouTube video I can find, but yeah, that's... There we go. Alright, let's clean that up. Yeah, every YouTube video I have come across about the pen tool is basically, here's how to make a box, here's how to cut out a photo. Like, that's neither of what I need. And that's not really gonna do what I need to do. I might get the basics if I learn how to cut out a photo, but it doesn't really help me here, where I'm trying to do these crazy intricate lines. And how did that happen? Ah, Photoshop, what are you doing? Let's clean that back up, because something glitched out there. Alright. So how's the weather out there? Because we're finally getting rain again like we're supposed to be. And not, you know, our annual snowfall in a day. There we go. That's a little cleaner. Don't usually do tattoo design, so this is definitely making my brain stretch a little. Okay, why are you not working? Come on. Oh wow, that's interesting. Okay. Now, you've been doing just fine all morning. Yes. I will agree with you wholeheartedly there. Rain is better than snow. Yeah, absolutely. This has definitely tried my patience, to be sure. Also, good to note that the chat box is not showing up on YouTube. So, alright. Well, things to fix later. I will make notes of that. But, yeah, I do have the pile of postcards sitting here waiting to be finished and to go out as soon as I can get out of my driveway. So, hopefully this rain keeps up. And they're saying it's supposed to keep up, but it's still going to be cold enough that it's going to melt slowly, which is good for most of the areas around here that are under 16 inches of snow or more. And, you know, our houses aren't built to handle that. I was talking to one of my students this morning who's got 16 inches around, and yeah, she said she had to buy a new sump pump for her basement because they're expecting the runoff to be really bad. Oh, that's every day. That's why Seattle is so bad. The refreeze, every day. I mean, the street we live off is literally a sheet of ice. You know, people give Seattleites such a hard time about, oh, you can't handle a little bit of snow. Well, the problem is it warms up during the day and then refreezes at night. So it's not just a little bit of snow, it's a little bit of snow on a lot of ice. So that's definitely a lot of our struggle right now. And, you know, chains don't help on ice. So they're coming out and graveling because they can't salt because of how close we are to water. It'll all just run off and really screw with the ecosystem. But they're coming out and putting down sand and gravel, but that only does so much. So hopefully it'll just keep... Sorry, noses decided to start running there. That was great. Yeah, hopefully it'll keep melting off. But yeah, we do have to watch for refreezing because it's a definite issue around here, especially with hills. Yeah, because our driveway is at least a 30-degree angle. I think. I've never actually gotten out there and measured it, but it's especially at the top. It gets very steep right before it gets up onto the street. See if I can fix the chat box thing here real quick. I don't know if it's gonna let me, but I'm gonna try. What is this? This is editor. Nope, that's not it. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for. Here we go. Okay, so why, my little friend, are you not giving me chat there? Widget editor. Great. I don't know. Oh. Alright. I was gonna see if it was a quick, like, oops, that didn't get activated for some reason, but nope, it's just not working. So, alright, well, that is what it is. So, in the meantime, come back to that. Okay. Alright. Sorry. Distracted by new shiny programs that I have no idea how to work. Or at least I'm trying to figure out how to work. But, alright, where are we at here? Okay, we got some big swirlies to finish cleaning up. There we go. That was probably thinner than it should have been, but that's okay. It's an inside line. I'm going to make that a new layer, and then I'm going to clean up the new layer so I can have these draw through and not have to worry about messing up these lines too much. We're going to try that again. Never actually really used this pull string tool, so this is... I don't usually have this many, like, solid swirling lines like this, so nope. So this is a lot of trial and error. Okay. Straighten that back out. I want one in between there. That's not gonna work. Alright, let's try it from this angle. lost it at the end. I don't have a steady hand to begin with, and trying to draw a lot of huge arcs are... This is a reason why I do this digitally. Wow, this really just does not want to pop into place. Alright, let's just try them all again. Alright. Did the original sketch. I've been going back and forth with a client for a couple weeks on this to get this sketch finalized for this tattoo. And did the original sketch in a program called Procreate on my iPad, which has a really cool function that if you draw a line and hold before you let go of the surface, it will snap that line into an arc. And I thought that's a really, really freaking cool feature. I wish Photoshop had something like that, but I don't want to try to do this whole piece in Procreate on my iPad, because, yeah, no thank you. Okay, let's do these other two here, get the pulled string going again. Oh, what are you doing? Okay, stop. Thank you. It is just being persnickety today. I have that little lag thing happen every once in a while, but it's really pushing through today. Yeah, it is surprising that it doesn't have something like that, but it does have, I think the difference is Photoshop has ellipse tools, so I can draw ellipses and things, and it's also got the pen tool, which is what you would ideally be using for this, whereas Procreate doesn't have that sort of thing, so I think that was their compromise, was to have the snap to straight lines and arcs and all of that, because they don't have the actual built-in ellipse and all those tools. Yeah, that's not working because that was on pulled string. Okay. And it's on the wrong layer. Yeah, it's funny because I really struggled with Procreate for about the first month, because it's enough like Photoshop to make me go a little bonkers, because it's not Photoshop and it doesn't have a lot of the same capabilities of Photoshop. But it's still super, super powerful and pretty fantastic, and it's really nice to be able to have that upstairs. I'm on the wrong layer. Yeah, I knew I was going to do that. Okay. There we go. But it's really nice to be able to just kind of sketch out stuff like this, tattoo design, without having to be down at the computer all the time. Especially since we went through 14 different... No, it wasn't quite that many. We went through a lot of sketches, though. Oh, hi. I'm not aligning my keyboard very well. We went through quite a few sketches, though, to get to this one. Oh, maybe 8. Which, for a tattoo design, I am totally okay with, because if this is going onto somebody's body, I want it to be right. How do the layers work? Okay, so over here, in this bottom corner, I have my layers panel. And it's literally, think like taking tracing paper and laying it one on top of another. So I have a layer here, layer here, layer here, and this is my sketch layer. So it allows me to come in and have these different elements that ultimately will, you know, all work together. But if I need to erase something or need to adjust something that's, trying to think how to describe this easily. Yeah, so like I'll start a new layer if I'm not sure if this is going to work, if it's going to overlap a bunch of stuff that I don't want to have to go back and clean up. That's why I'm doing all these little tiny details on this other layer, because I was able to go in right here and clean them up without affecting the main swirl, because then I have to go in and fix that, and that becomes this huge issue. Let me show you, like, here, I'll pull up Queen of Wands so you can really see layers in action. And hope I don't crash the stream out with this because this is a big file. So, okay. So right now you can see over here, I've also color coded things so I know which are my line layers and which are my color layers. So with the line layers, this also has grouping going on, which allows me to drop everything out that's in the same group. So line layers, I have different things like the frame. The frame is its own independent layer because that's going to have a whole lot of stuff going on. And then the antler decor is its own because it has a different color going on in it. So, you know, I can change out different pieces and have different elements. When I did the throne behind her, I did that all independently, though there is a heavy outline around it. I'm pointing at the screen like you can totally see that. It has this heavier outline, which is on a different layer. So this allows me to be able to draw through. Here, I'll disable. So I have a mask on this one in case I adjusted anything. So let's find a spot. I disabled the mask. So like right here, you can see areas where I was drawing through before I finished out the skirt down here. And by having that on a separate layer, I'm able to control that, you know, these certain lines that need to look like they're connecting actually do connect. So I can come in and re-enable this mask and it cleans a lot of that up and doesn't actually erase it, it just covers it up and with a transparent eraser, so to speak. So that way I can go in and clean certain things. Let me pull that out again. Let's see if there's another spot, because that might be, oh yeah, right through the sunflower stalk. So to get all of these lines to fluidly move through, it's easier to draw through and to clean it up later. But then I would have to worry about, am I going into the sunflower? Am I going to jump into the skirt and then have to clean that back up? So that's really helpful there. Then you get into adding, you know, the separate color layers. And then now I don't have to even worry about, am I going to hit the lines and mess up my lines? So I can have, you know, the dress on its own layer. And if I drop out these lines, you can see there's a lot where it just comes, there's weird gaps and such. And in some cases I'll go outside the line and have to come back and clean that up. But this at least gives me the ability to not mess up my regular line work. So that's the basics of layers. There's a lot you can do with layers. Like even just my texturing layers up here are on a 20% opacity with a linear burn. So if I brought the opacity up on this one, you know, now it's a much heavier texture. If I take the linear burn away, then you can't see it at all. Hello! So, you know, it's just different weird things that you can do and learn and figure out after 20 some odd years of playing with it. Or you could, you know, be smart and take a class. But I literally was made the yearbook editor my senior year of high school because I was the only person who knew how to turn on a computer, and I was given Photoshop. And it was like, here you go, have fun. What am I doing? I have no idea. And nobody could tell me because they didn't know how to do it. So no, we're not going to save that. So yeah, that's the big thing with layers, is it really gives you the ability to stack things so you're not mussing up other layers, other line work and things like that. When I'm doing more digital painting style, I use way fewer layers because I'm trained traditionally and I paint on one canvas. I just did that big D&D commission, and that was like 5 layers all said and done, one for each character, one for the super background, one for the foreground, and one for the fire. So, you know, it really just depends. Oh, Emma just said something on Patreon. What was this? Yay for iPad notifications. Except that the app on iPad sucks. I don't know what they did to it. It says waiting for... Oh, weird. Emma's not able to get in. Yeah, no. hold on. Technical difficulties. Okay, let me see if I can help out Emma here. Nope. Reply. Alright, let's see if maybe a shift reload and a full refresh can get her in, because it took it a few seconds when I did it, but I can click on the link and it's working just fine, so... Oh no! Okay, well, hopefully she can get in. So, yay for test runs and trying to figure this out. But, yeah, that's why I kept my iPad popped up, because it lights up and tells me when I have a message. Versus my terrible computer, which doesn't tell me I have an email half the time. So, alright, let's do a little more work and see if she can get in here. Okay, do I have the right thing on? I do, black, yes, okay. Right layer, yes, okay. Yeah, I do have a tendency of drawing onto the wrong layer all the freaking time, though. So, thankfully, you can lock layers. You can either do a full lock, which means you can't do anything to it, or you can do a, I don't even know what they call it. Let's see if it'll tell me if I hover over. It's a transparent lock. So, for example, if I did a transparent lock on this, I can come in... Let's just pick a color and take off the pulled string, and I can just tone just what is currently active on that layer and already there. If I don't have that, it's gonna color the whole thing. If I do a full lock on the layer, I can't do squat, and it's gonna yell at me because the layer is locked, which I have been known to do sometimes, because I have on more than one occasion so badly screwed up my layer, I had to go in and fully lock certain layers so I would stop drawing on them. That's not the right size. Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear the clacking of my... That's not the right size either. What the heck did I have this on? I thought I had it on 10. There we go. I don't know. It just looks thicker. Okay, well, figure this out as we go. Okay, sorry. I'm just double checking Patreon. Make sure I hadn't... Emma didn't have other issues there. Okay, let's clean that up a little bit. Yep. But yeah, I literally learned about this screen and screen a week ago. Hello, what are you doing, computer? So yeah, this is such a ridiculously powerful program. There are other programs out there that do a lot of what Photoshop does, but there's a reason people continue to come back to Photoshop, and a reason... Oh, we're going to do that here, huh? No, I pulled straight. There's a reason I'm super excited about Photoshop for iPad, which is supposed to be out sometime this year, which is a cloud-based app. Let's try rotating. That will let you work on documents while on your iPad, which right now there's nothing strong enough to manage that. I've tried, and I tried that with Silverfin Healing actually, and it made a huge mess of things. So I pretty much wasted 2 or 3 hours trying to get that to work. But yeah, it's just the problem is the general apps are not strong enough to handle it, because Photoshop is a beefy program, and it sucks the life out of your computer on a regular basis. So, okay, let's see, I need to do a couple, come on, trail offs, okay, back to pulled string. this tool though, because that has just made my life so much easier. It was an expensive plugin, but it's been worth it. A lot of the plugins that I have had to deal with have not been so nice. Okay, I want to clean this guy up because he just looks lumpy. But I don't want to have to redraw the whole arc, but I think I'm going to have to. Yeah, let's try redrawing at least a little bit of this. See if I can get in. I still don't have Emma in yet. Alright, this is going to take a couple attempts. There we go, that's not so bad. Alright, now I can clean that up. I can work with that. Get off there. Okay. I have to remember, the eraser doesn't work quite so well with the pulled string. That's much better. Okay. I also like this picture-in-picture thing because you guys can see what I am doing overall, rather than just wondering why is there a bunch of weird wave-like swirls on the screen, which is what I usually deal with. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here before I... that's on this layer. I was going to say before I merge these layers, but that was part of this layer. Taper some of these lines off. They'll just look a little nicer than a... That is the one thing about the pulled string that I've figured out, is you don't get the same kind of pressure sensitivity control that you do if I were just to be drawing these by hand. But, oh, the trade-off is so worth it. So worth it. Alright. Okay, get these pointed down a little bit. I'm still not in love with that. Let's see if we can clean this up a little bit. Really want to get this commission done in the next couple days so I can get back to the Queen of Wands. Get that done. Finish Strength. That's been fun trying to get those colors tweaked. They're just not printing like I want them to, so I keep tweaking on it, doing test prints, put it away for a day, tweak on it some more, do some more test prints, put it away, take it upstairs to Jim, see what he thinks. I have to keep reminding myself, though, that the red dragons in the monster manual for Dungeons & Dragons also look kind of rusty orange colored, so it's, I think, just the nature of trying to paint red. And I don't really want to go in at this point and change the entire color palette structure of the piece to change the color of the dragon, because that would change freaking everything. Alright. Okay. Clean this up a little more. So as long as I can get the waiting for me to go online issues figured out, this should work pretty okay for lessons down the road, but definitely it's gonna still need some tweaking over the next couple days. Hopefully get this all figured out and sorted. Not a giant mess of crazy. 'Cause yeah, I looked into the Patreon options for live streaming, and it's $50 a month after the first month for free, or $45 with our 10% discount, and I don't quite make enough on Patreon right now to make that worthwhile, so alright, I'm gonna stop noodling with this. Oh god, red is awful. Red is awful. Like, there are rules to painting red. You can't use white because it turns it pink. So you use yellow for highlights. But then you have the side of it that you have to add in, oh, there's Emma. You have to be careful with that. That didn't work. My husband says you're probably... Oh. Huh. apparently her stuff is third-party service. That's weird. Let me give her a quick response here. Using one of YouTube's encoders, so have my screen visible. YouTube only supports a webcam, which is not what I want. Okay. Just told her that, you know, I'm using one of YouTube's supported encoders so that I can have my screen visible, because YouTube Live only supports a webcam if you go straight through YouTube itself. Otherwise you have to use one of the encoders to set up the whole screen thing that I've got going here. I don't know why. Like, but I'm not sure why that would be flagging on their computers a third-party thing, so I don't know. I think it's kind of out of my hands. But anyway, yeah, red is ridiculously hard to deal with. So hopefully I can keep tweaking on a little bit. I've done 6 or 7 test prints at this point. I'm saving paper right now though till my next order gets here on Friday. Alright, let's do the kitty's tail here. But yeah, that's why we're doing this test run, right? And see what works and what doesn't. And I can tell you that doesn't work. So try this all again, because I don't like the way that looks. It's not very Art Nouveau flowy. It's, I mean, this is a super long-haired cat, so there's going to be some serious fluff happening, but I don't want it to look jagged either. Alright, let's turn off the pulled string. But I'm glad at least that people showed up, because or tried to show up at least, because there's nothing quite like talking to yourself live on the internet. Oops, grabbed the edge of that. Okay, let's fix you. Go back, go back, 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 back. There we go. All right. Yeah. Some fluffy lines. Yeah, this has been a fun one to play with. The client sent me a bunch of photos of her cats, who unfortunately both have passed, so this is kind of a memorial tattoo. So my my views were limited on what I got to choose from. She sent me everything she had, but then she also sent me a ton of different Art Nouveau cat drawings, some cat tattoos, some Art Nouveau cat tattoos. So that was super, super helpful from the perspective especially that I'm getting a pretty good idea of what she's after by that. Oh, that's why that didn't work, because I didn't hit E, I hit R. I use a lot of key bindings to keep from having to go back over here and over here and over here and over here. Which is fine until I'm hitting the wrong keys and then wondering why it's not working. Okay. Fluffy, fluffy kitty cat. All the fluffy kitty cat. Okay. Don't mind me. I always sing to myself as I'm working on art, because why not? I'm already labeled as a crazy artist anyway, right? Let's just reinforce that stereotype. Okay. So, oh, we gotta this, because that was before I decided I was going to have a separate layer for the filigree. I might have to clean some of those lines out later so I figure out what will work for a tattoo and what won't. That's a lot of the struggle right now, is making sure that I'm getting lines that are going to work for a tattoo. Yeah, well, you've known me long enough, you know. Keep hitting that mic. Alright. Okay, let's start a new layer. We're going to call this one flowers, if I can get it to do the right thing. There we go. Okay, we're going to start in, turn off the pulled string, and just start tracing my sketch here, 'cause that may as well be fine. Okay, alright. No, I'm going to do that as a finer line on the inside. So that's one of the things I have to try to keep in mind with Art Nouveau is line weight variance. If everything is the same line weight, there's no emphasis on what's important. So right now you can tell, you know, the cats are the heavier line weight here. But then once everything is said and done, it's going to get a heavier weight around the outside to really emphasize the lines and the piece as a whole. Okay. These centerpieces. Alright. Back up. So lots of back and forth on sizes of my brush strokes, or the brush sizes. I'm using fairly small right now, given what the what this can actually get up to. But oh hi, I have a visitor. I don't know how well you can catch him down in the corner here. But he's sitting here wondering, why are you talking to yourself? What are you doing? Chandra says hi. He's now on his little pillow behind me. It's funny, one of the streamers that Jim watches regularly recently adopted a dog about 3 months ago and named him Bernie. And he now has a Bernie cam. He has a separate webcam set up just to show Bernie to the audience on his, you know, when he's on his bed. Which I think is just freaking adorable. He was so excited to get this dog. And the dog is a sweetheart too. So, and I'm surprised Pippin didn't try to make an appearance on camera. He just came in and meowed at me right before I started streaming and then left. He's angry about his food situation right now though, so sorry, buddy. Prescription food is the way it's going to be. Yeah, so that whole FedEx issue last week that I was telling you about, I don't think that got brought up, Grant. So I ordered food from Chewy last Sunday, a week ago Sunday, and it was supposed to be here Tuesday, then it was supposed to be here Wednesday, then it was supposed to be here Thursday, and by Thursday I had opened a case because it was like, where's my cat's food? He needs this and he's running out. And come to find out Friday morning that the truck had never actually even left the warehouse on Thursday when it was supposed to be delivered. And it was dumping snow by Friday. So thankfully it showed up on Sunday, but by Sunday morning he was already running low, so I had to supplement his regular morning food with a little bit of his old stuff, and I think that's what triggered it. Is he's like, oh wait, this stuff tastes better. Why am I eating this crap again? So I'm gonna have to do another wean, I think, which is going to throw off his blood testing for another month. He was supposed to get that retested this week, but not if he's been eating other food. So, yay. Yeah, I feel for him. It's not easy. Like, he had such a terrible, terrible reaction to the medication. And then, you know, poor guy was in rough shape for a couple of weeks from the allergic reaction. He got terrible hot spots and had to get the cone of shame several times because he wouldn't stop scratching and splattering blood everywhere. That was fun. But yeah, so I think I'm just gonna have to incorporate some of the old food again, and then wean it back out, because he didn't finish dinner last night and has hardly touched his breakfast today, and can't have that with a cat with hyperthyroid. They need to be eating. So, you know, it comes and goes. He was eating ravenously last week before this whole debacle, but what are you gonna do? Weather has messed up everything. My last class has been postponed again, because can't get into Stanwood safely. So, and now we're into the next round of classes starting, so that's gonna complicate things. And hey, I almost started drawing on the wrong layer again. Okay. It's almost been an hour, so we're probably gonna call this in a few minutes, but made some good progress here, and we got some good testing done, so I know what I have to work on. I'll probably do another one of these test runs in the next week or so. I will give you guys more warning next time, and hopefully more people can drop in and say hi, and hopefully some people can figure out why their computer is blocking or it's not working. And I'm definitely going to try to figure out how I can get the link faster, because that was a struggle tonight. I don't know what the heck. I have people that I support on Patreon who have been able to give the link, the scheduled link, a couple days in advance. So, in theory, I should be able to do that. I just have to figure out how. All those little details. Okay. So, finish out some of these. These are forget-me-nots. Thought that was an appropriate flower for a memorial tattoo, since the client didn't like the tulips that I went with first. Okay, cool. I'll hit you up on Skype later, because yeah, I don't know. I mean, I literally had to go in and figure out how to launch YouTube in my browser and grab the link from my browser directly. So it's like, I'm sure it's supposed to tell me the link here somewhere, but yeah, the schedule didn't work using this new Streamlabs OBS. It was supposed to schedule it to start at 5 and it didn't, so I had to go in and manually launch it. I'm concerned that if I try to schedule it through YouTube, it's only going to give me the webcam option. So I don't know. I think I just need to mess with it on my private account and see what I can come up with, but that also involves changing keys around, and be worth it to figure it out, but a pain in the butt. So, but yeah, might work on that tonight, because there's no Talks Machina tonight. So, okay, let's save, because I haven't saved in a while. I'm usually a very avid saver. Think that yearbook class where that computer crashed about every 10 minutes, and I would lose so much work until I learned Control S is my friend at all times. Yeah. So, yeah, I remembered there was no talks tonight, so that might be time to get things figured out. So, clean that up. Hello, eraser, come on. I have this weird lag. If I zoom in and try to change the tool too quickly, it doesn't change it. And I think that's a fairly new lag issue. I'm still running an older version of Photoshop. I'm running CC17, so it's technically 2 years out of date. But given what I've heard about CC19, I don't want to upgrade. They changed a bunch of key bindings, fixed their stupid mistakes, but now that everybody's used to the stupid mistakes, now we have to go back and change everything, and I'm not sure that I want to deal with that. Yes, save early and often. Yes. Yeah. And even then, I'm so glad Photoshop has finally built in a backup if in the event your computer crashes or the power goes out or whatever, even though I have my computer set up to a backup battery. So if the power goes out, I've got 10 minutes to get everything shut down. But, yeah. Save early, save often, but if something happens and Photoshop just crashes out, it does have a recovery file that sometime in the last 10 minutes. So depending on what you're doing, you could lose quite a bit of work still, but it's still not as bad as it could have been if you don't save much. So I actually have my keys on the side of my Cintiq. One of them is undo and one of them is save. So, because you can customize all of that. Oh man, I am not looking forward to trying to do this moon. This is going to be a huge pulled string. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get this done. Okay. This is going to be a two-part process. There's just no way. Nope, I missed. Okay. That's not too bad. Did that stay? That's not very round though. Alright, so we're gonna not do the pulled string. We're gonna use an ellipse instead. Make this a little more rounded. There we go. So here's another reason why you would have, multiple layers. So I've already got a new layer for this. What's my brush set at? 7? Yeah, let's go to 10. Okay. So I can come in and stroke the path. Do another ellipse in here. Holding shift gives me the ability to make it perfectly even on all sides ellipse or square or whatever other thing. Alright, and now we're going to come in and erase. Erase, erase, erase. Bigger. There we go. Yeah, so this is where, oh, get rid of the pulled string. This is where layers are super handy because you can do stuff like that with them. No, keep that. And not have to worry about going through all of these other lines that I've already established and messing them all up. Okay, then I will just pull string the face of the moon. And that will give me a lot cleaner line overall. So, okay, so pulled string, brush, 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 thank you. Nope. Gotta get it started at the right, there we go. No, alright, I have to stop that at the point, okay. Okay. And there we go, alright. Erase. Not the pulled string. I wish I could set that to tool specific, but apparently I cannot. That's okay. For the 3 times so far I have ever used that, I think I'll be okay. Alright. Okay, so we're going to label this one moon. And yeah, so there we go. That's live streaming in a nutshell, I guess. I'm just gonna get rid of that one. And yeah, so I will work with Chandra here and try to figure out what we can do to make this a little easier and a little more time ahead to figure it all out. So little more notice for people, because I'm sure that didn't help today, but figured I needed to get this done at some point, so may as well just get it going. So I'm going to go ahead and log off here. I will talk to you guys later.